walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule in life that you're either growing or you're dying. And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion?
Greetings and welcome to the Lou Holtz Podcast. Every week I get excited about our guest, but none more so than the one we have today in Burgess Owens. And Burgess, this program is not about Republicans, Democrats, independent, white, black, yellow, or any color in between. It's about restoring the culture of this country. But I am so proud of you, and it's going to take me a while to give you a resume, but in fairness to you, people should hear this. Burgess Owens is a congressman from Utah's 4th Congressional District, born in the segregated South, but saw people of all backgrounds come together to work tirelessly against adversity. Burgess, one of the first 4 black athletes recruited to play football at the University of Miami, and the 3rd black student there to receive a scholarship, ultimately earning a BS in biology and chemistry. He was the 13th pick in the first round of the 1973 NFL Draft and joined the New York Jets, later playing safety for 10 seasons in the NFL for the Jets and the Oakland Raiders, where he won the Super Bowl in 1980. After retiring from the NFL, Burgess worked in the corporate sales world and eventually moved the Owens family to beautiful Utah. Before being selected to Congress, he started Second Chance, a youth and nonprofit dedicated to helping troubled and incarcerated youth. Burgess now serves as a member of the House Education and the Workforce Committee and House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Burgess believes in dreaming big and following the 4 guiding principles of faith, family, free markets, and education. What a great resume on that. Unbelievable. I didn't realize you were one of the 3 black athletes to ever play at Miami, and I coached against them in their game. I tell you, they had a lot more than 3, but they all could be.
And to that point, Lou, that's what kind of points to where we are as a country. And I love playing with you when you were the coach of the Jets, because that was the time when we realized sports was the one place in military that you found out that place called meritocracy. You know, if you're good enough to start, if you're, no matter what your background, your color, none of that mattered. If you helped the team win, you were brought in and you were part of that equation. So I love that. I look forward to getting back to that, because that what brings us together as a people. Meritocracy, sure. I
agree with you completely. Now, you're the first congressman, and it's my honor to have you on my show. I know you had a successful NFL career prior to running for Congress, but I'd love to hear about your journey leading up to the NFL. How in the world did you get from high school to Miami?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I grew up in Tallahassee back in the 60s. My first exposure to white Americans wasn't until I was 16 years old. But we were taught in our community about what I mentioned before, meritocracy, about getting a good name, work ethic. When I mentioned at the very end of your introductory, in my community, Tallahassee, and across the country as a black community, we believe in faith, the family, the free market education. So my goal when I went to University of Miami, believe it or not, was not to become a football player, not to become an NFL player. I liked it. I loved the sport. I just thought that would be my way to get to college. And my goal was to be a marine biologist. But thank goodness I had people that found talent in me and gave me some opportunities. And I found the right position, the right spot to one day meet Lou Holtz with the Jets. And so it all worked out pretty good, my friend. It really did.
I got to tell you, I was a coach of the Jets for 1 year. Burgess Owens was an established star. And I could not have had any player treat me any nicer, any more respect, or be a better teammate than Burgess Owens was. And I say that sincerely. And I tell everybody that whether we're on the podcast or not. As a child, what do you believe were the pivotal moments in your life resulting in you end up playing in the NFL. What is the thing that changed your life? Because I know, we all go through it. You're going along. You don't expect to end up in Miami. How did that all happen?
I was blessed to be part of a remarkable family, Lou. I had a mom and dad. My dad was an educator at Florida A&M, but they truly believed in teaching their kids how to work, how to overcome. They believed in education in a big way. So one of the things, again, that was my focus, because I would actually every summer I'll go to my dad's campus and work in the laboratory during the summer months. So my goal really was to become, as I mentioned, a marine biologist. And the biggest thing that happened during that time when you find out that people don't believe in you, you have a choice. Either you fight through it and prove that they're wrong, or you acquiesce. And I had parents who showed us how to work through it. Somebody tells you they don't believe in you, you just work harder, you study harder, you do whatever it takes to prove them wrong. And I will say this, I was blessed to be raised in a family that showed me how that happens. It wasn't something I had to figure out on my own. I watched my parents did that. So I just had to learn it and let it become muscle memory. And once it becomes muscle memory, it's kind of a fun thing to just go through. Just do it.
You make such common sense on that. I was told when I was young, no matter what I accomplished in this world, if I wasn't successful as a husband or father, I failed. One thing's obvious, you had great parents. And you know what we find out on this show, Owens? The more people we talk to, the ones that had good upbringing, good leadership at home, are the ones that usually accomplished outstanding things. So, and you've done
Can
that.
I just add to that, Lou? Because you're so right. It's great when you have, and I was fortunate and blessed to have such a remarkable household. But I think the key to it also, and you mentioned as we got started, life is never a straight elevator ride to the top. It never is, never will be. Sometimes people look at us and say, you had such a great life. They have no idea the downtimes you go through. It's the downtimes that develop the culture, the character. It's the downtimes that develop the faith. It's the downtimes that let us be the people and say, you know what? If I can do it, you can do it. And that's really the message of Americans, is to get through it and give somebody else hope that they can make it through it also.
You bring up so many good points that make me want to interrupt. One thing I believe that changed in the culture of this country is we don't want anybody to fail. As parents, we don't want anybody to get fall down. Everybody gets a trophy, and nobody knows how to handle adversity when you get knocked down. And when things are going, you pick yourself up. You have two choices. You either keep going or you stay down. But we don't teach young people that. Now, going back.
Well, can I say this, Lou? Because one of the upsides of my career is I can talk about that in real term. I played for my last year in high school was a losing season, 4 years at the University of Miami, losing seasons. And as you know, with the Jets, 7 years not winning. Got to the Raiders that 13th season, and we had a chance to have a team that kind of came together. And what came out of that is a message I give to everybody. Everybody will have their 13th season when things turn out just right, the things you want to have happen. But that prepares you for that are the 12 before that, the 12 years of ups and downs, of learning how to overcome obstacles to where when you finally get to that point of success, you can appreciate it. And you can actually go out and help other people to know how to do the same thing.
Well, you were part of a great football program with the Raiders. But what was the difference between the Jets and the Raiders in the locker room, on the field, etc.? Because there had to be a big difference when I looked at the results.
And that's the point. I tell people all the time that the Raiders, I played with the Raiders and they used to win football games all the time. And Lou, as you know, as what you did in college, it's all about the culture. When you have somebody at the top that can develop this culture that draws people to it, when people come there, they don't want to let anybody down. They want to be part of that culture, be accepted in that culture. So you put everything out there. The Raiders, for those who don't remember the Raiders before free agency, if you were too old, too rambunctious, too crazy, too wild for other NFL teams, you're just right for the Raiders.
Raiders! Where you at?
Because you get there, and Al Davis just, as long as you got on the field and did everything you could do, just win, baby, you were part of his culture. And so a lot of it was high expectations. A lot of it's for the year that I got there. We had about 12 of us that were just brought in from different teams. But every one of us was so tired of losing that we didn't care who got the credit. We didn't want to be the weak link, and that allowed me to experience for the first time what it was to be part of a team that was so tight and so, I don't know, it's just so rewarding. I never felt that way. And to say, Lou, you know what it is because you had a few of those teams. But for me, I had a chance to have one of them, and it was just a remarkable game changer for me, to say the least.
Well, the one thing I found, Burgess, all great teams have a love for each other, and they don't want to let their teammates down. They don't worry about themselves. They just don't want to let their teammates down. Every man here has a role. Maybe your role is to be on the scout squad. Then you have to do that with the very best ability and with enthusiasm and a feeling that you're contributing greatly. That's your role. You do not have the right to cause your teammates to fail because you don't do everything to the best of your ability. You had such a great career. What's the most memorable thing about playing for the Hurricanes? Because I can tell you, in Notre Dame, that was not our favorite game because they were always great.
Well, here's the thing. You have to remember, I was with the Hurricanes before they became the U. We might have won 3 or 4 games a season, so we were not there when you guys started having your big games. But I would say the greatest thing that happened through the 4 years I was there, we did not have any winning seasons, but I learned what it is to always be an eternal optimist. Because when times are tough, when you aren't winning, you have to get to a point either you give up or figure out one way is going to get better one way or the other. So I became an eternal optimist, realizing that next year, next game is going to get better than it is today. And after you know it, after you realize it, that becomes muscle memory. And I am today an eternal optimist. A lot of it came from the 4 years at the University of Miami.
Well, you know what's amazing? We're talking about football, but we're also talking about culture, the culture of this country, the culture of team. There's such a great combination and similarities between building a culture in both of them. Now, in 1980, you won the Super Bowl.
Clock 3:51, all that's left, and they trail by 17. They find support. Jaworski, intercepted. Ron Martin, can you believe it? Seconds tick away. Jim Plunkett leads the Oakland Raiders to Super Bowl 15 victory, and Plunkett is announced as the most valuable player. The final score, Oakland 27, Philadelphia 10.
What was your feeling before the game and after the game, winning the Super Bowl, the ultimate?
Well, first of all, you have to keep in mind, I had gone for 7 years with the NFL, 4 years before that, not having one winning season, never thinking that the Super Bowl would be part of my journey. So I remember sitting in the locker room in New Orleans, looking around the room and saying to myself, I cannot believe I'm sitting here with these guys. And I did my best to go around to a couple guys, Lester Hayes, Matusak, Jim Plunkett, and just say thank you. I wish now, I was very shy, so I didn't do this, but I wish I got up on a chair and said, thank you guys, appreciate this. But it was an unbelievable experience to go out there. And again, once again, it was a game of our life because every player went out to do everything they could to make the big play and not mess it up. And we pulled each other together. And you said something earlier, today we're still brothers. Those are guys I have so much respect for. We've kind of gone our own different ways, but we say we love each other and we really mean it because we experienced something in our lives that it's just so unique. You cannot get anyplace else for sure.
I know exactly what you're saying. I've felt it with teams. When you have great teams, there's a love and a feeling they aren't going to let one another down. They care about one another, and that's the way this country used to be. And it didn't matter whether you're white or black. I understand we have a lot of things in our background that we had to change. But I want to tell you, I played with 4 different black athletes in high school, and I got to tell you, Burgess, they were great football players, but they were better teammates. They were just class people that all they wanted to do was be a part of it, help each other along that line. Now, how hard was it?
Lou, can I say this real quick?
Sure.
Because I have to give credit for the generation that came before us. So my dad's generation was World War II vets. And they went to war. They came back with a brotherhood. They still had a lot of things to take care of, but they came back with one thing in mind. I'm a proud American, and I'm going to make sure I command respect by succeeding as an American. That's what that culture was all about. And they came back with the greatest middle class, finally breaking down the barriers that I had been dealing with for so long, and passing on that belief of America to the point where when I was sitting on the sideline, I'd get teary-eyed listening to the national anthem, because my parents had taught us how to be patriotic, be thankful, and to take everything we could to make sure that our country became even better in time. So I'll just say, thank goodness for the greatest generation. I really can't say enough about them, and we just have to make up for lost time and get us back for sure.
I'm with you. Now, how did you make the transition from the NFL into the private world?
Well, I did a couple things. I had always decided, I've always had this niche or desire to be an entrepreneur. In my last year in the NFL, I decided it's time for me to go out and build a business. And the business was designed to do something that actually I'm doing right now. I wanted to have an impact on the black community, give our kids a chance to know they can do some great things. The upside of that business, Lou, and this is so important, because I had so much confidence. I was going to work hard. I put money into it. And I figured if I worked hard enough, anything would work. Well, when you start a business, you also have to have a good idea. And the good idea wasn't there. 9 years later, I literally lost everything. So here I was going from an former NFL player to moving my family of four into a small bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York, just trying to figure out what to make, how to come back. Chimney sweep for a few months, security guard. But here's the thing, I was always taught by my parents, a man will do everything he can to make sure he provides for his family. Whatever it is, it works out. And today, from that point, I moved on into corporate sales. And I could tell a history now. I could talk to young people who said, you were lucky that you're an NFL player. My message is, yes, I was very lucky to go through that process. But I'm even more lucky that I went through being a security guard and chimney sweep. And I can tell you from experience that if I can succeed, you can succeed. And that's the message of America, Lou. As we go through our tough times, to turn back and let people know it's going to be okay. We all go through the down times. You hang in there, you keep the faith, you work hard, you stay respectful, you do the right things, it's going to work out okay. It's going to come out just fine.
Every successful person I have dealt with, and I'm an old man, my birthday candles cost more than cake, Burgess, but the one thing I have found that everybody has difficulty and adversity in part of their life, and they have to learn to overcome it. Now, tell me about your family. To me, that's what's important.
Yes, I've been very blessed, really blessed. I have 6 kids, and they all live in Utah within 45 minutes of me. 17 grands, all live within 45 minutes, and it is truly the blessing of my life. When I think about all the things that I've been able to accomplish, nothing compares to the kids I have, how they're very close, they're tight-knit. We get together all the time, and to see how they're raising their kids, it shows me that we did okay. So that I would say is the biggest blessing. And one of the things that I've come to understand, just like my dad, we work hard to hold on to a good name, a good legacy, so we can pass down to our kids. And I now know that's what I'm here to do. Make sure that our kids can start off knowing that their dad did the very, very best, just like I know my mom and dad did for me. So again, really blessed that of all the things I've done, that is the most important, to say the least.
I agree with you. I got to tell you, I'm an old man, and it became obvious to me there was a time where everybody lived on the same street. But then it became obvious we're becoming a transient country. So 37 years ago, we started Holtz Family Vacation, first week of July. If you're going to be in the will, you're going to attend it. Every child, every grandchild, every spouse. And we've been doing this for 37 years. I wanted the aunts and the uncles to know the nephews and the nieces, and for the cousins to know one another. And it's amazing how close they are today. They call one another. They have a family hookup once a month where everybody gets on what they're doing, how they're doing it, etc. But it's all about family. And to me, when we talk about the culture of this country, we go back to the family. And unbelievable. So many people in this country have tried to tear the family down and try to get rid of the father of the family. And the father is very important. We all have a role along that line. But
we all do, Lou. And can I just say this? I think we could pass that legacy down of all the things we can share with our kids and have them to take a nugget from our lives is how important that family is, how important it is to forgive each other, to work through issues with each other, to be there for each other when things are going ups and down, because we all have it. And every one of us should know that when things are right and wrong, that there's one group we can depend on. Those are people we grew up with. Those are folks we call family, and they'll figure out a way to help us through it all. So we do that, and as a country, we expand that out, we'll get back to the America that we grew up in, Lou, for sure. And I look forward to
I'm with you.
That.
As I would tell our team, the only people you have in this world when things don't go well, those you eat with, sleep with, bleed with, pray with, and cry with. That's your family and your teammates. Nobody else falls in there. But Burgess, I also know you're a very religious man. Tell me about how your belief came about and why you believe so strongly.
Well, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and a lot of it was because I lost my mom when I was very young, 26 years old. And I think, like all of us, we have questions that they need to have answered. Somebody that was very close to our family, she was at the hub of our family, and no one ever could replace her. So 4 years later, I was with the Raiders, and I had these questions that I had a chance to talk to some of my teammates about, Todd Christensen and Mark Wilson, and those answers came true to me. So, and I'll say this, whatever our faith is, the one thing about America is we need to have some faith. We need to find it, because when things go tough, that's what we can lean in on. When we're trying to find out what is our real meaning in life, that's what we lean in on. And if people with faith just do the very best they can, then we will bring back that culture that we grew up in, the culture that's so much of what America is. And it's based on the faith, the family, the free market, taking risks, taking a chance, failing and learning from that, and education, which is with all that comes together. We educate ourselves, we become wiser people, and that education will allow us to be even more valuable to those around us.
Amen, brother. I agree with you completely. How in the world did you end up in the House of Representatives? How'd that come about? This
is a journey that for years, and if we had talked about this back in the day, I would have said never, ever, ever would I be a politician. But what happened is I did something when I came to Utah, started a program called Second Chance for Youth. As I mentioned, even when I left the NFL, I have had this passion to work with kids, at-risk kids particularly. And I found it was a chance for me to work with kids coming out of the juvenile system, to give them that second chance, mentoring, job opportunities. And I figured that might be the niche. And what I found out is a couple years into that, I realized that if we don't change policies in D.C., our kids do not have a chance. If they can't read, write, think, if they can't articulate themselves and understand and get wisdom, there's no way that we're going to change this trajectory. So I decided to see if it works out, and right now I'm actually the chair of the higher education workforce, and I have the chance to work with juvenile kids and kids all across the spectrum. So I'm doing something now that I've never thought I would have an opportunity to do, and I'm so excited about. And we're going to make sure that our kids are educated, proud of their background, appreciate where they are today, and have a remarkable vision for the future. And it all comes from education.
What can other people do to help you? Because this cause is so important.
Well, I tell you, probably the best thing to just is just pay attention, be engaged. You look me up on online and just see the things we can do there that kind of help me out in some ways. But the most important thing is just make sure that we are educating ourselves. Now's the time. One thing I'll say about the Raiders before we cut this off. One thing that happened that season is that every player that hit the field, no matter what their talent was, they gave their all, everything they could give. And you remember Ray Guy. Ray Guy might come in 3 times a game, but he'll kick from our 10-yard line to the other 10-yard line and change the game forever. As Americans, we need to get on the field now. Every one of us, I don't care what the talent might be, it counts. And now's the time to make sure it happens. We need to get a bigger majority in the Republican Party, in the House. We need to get the Senate. And we need to get President Trump back in place. We get that done, I tell you, this country will be in good shape within months. I look forward to that happening for sure.
Well, the way I look at it, that's not a luxury. That's a necessity. As I see it, in the direction we're going. Wow. Now, you have 6 children. How many are girls?
I have 5 girls and 1 boy.
Good Lord. You want to jump up on the soapbox and talk about fair opportunity for women. This having men be able to compete against women is ridiculous. I remember when Title IX came in. Hey, that's great for women.
I know.
But it's crazy.
The Biden administration is facing a flurry of lawsuits to block its changes to Title IX from taking place. The revisions announced earlier this month add in protections for transgender athletes.
Well, you talked about family earlier, and just keep in mind that the family unit, the structure that we've in place here is so important. And when we have to have a conversation, Lou, about what's fair for women and men not competing, it says we are losing our way in a big way. Anybody with common sense knows that. But then the ideology that takes that and tries to take it in a different direction is not about common sense. It's about destruction of the family. So let's make sure we fight for women's rights. Let's make sure that women have their space to do what they need to do. We respect them, allow them to compete, and then men compete in their own arena. We can do that. It's fair for everybody. And at the end of the day, Americans believe in fairness. So we will get that done, by the way. Oh, one last thing. I had a goal of having more boys. I had 2 girls and 1 boy. And I figured one more boy, I call it quits, and 3 girls later, we called it quits. So not that we didn't try to get that extra boy in there. So,
well, the way I put it, Burgess, I have 4 children. They're all girls but 2. And that pleases the girls. But okay, I know you got to get out of here, but I got to ask you 2 questions here quickly. What is the most important legislation you've worked on since you've been in Congress?
It's actually one that I'm working on now. In education, it's dealing with choice for children.
So long ago, caught the vision of school choice and how transformative educational freedom is for families, especially those in low income and unperforming school districts. Educational freedom is a civil rights issue of our time. Educational freedom supports students over systems and gives every child in America, regardless of his or her zip code, the opportunity to achieve the American dream.
Education is a national security. Ignorant and free can never be. That was Thomas Jefferson. We need to have our kids, no matter what their color is, what their zip code is, being able to think, to adjust, to dream big. If they can't, we're going to lose our way. So right now we have a Congress, and we're about to present something, matter of fact, next couple of weeks, that will allow choice across the board. It was using tax credits for parents to actually take advantage of that. So there are things like that, and I could say my legacy will be choice for kids, lowering the cost of college, and doing something with workforce that allows everybody, no matter where they are, to digitize their efforts and have it in a place that you can share with everybody. So those are things that I would say would be my legacy, and we're working hard to make sure that happens.
Well, congratulations. I know you got to go, but I can't let you go to ask the very last question. And then like, okay, one more sprint. No. This is my last question. This is my last
no
question.
More sprints. Okay.
But what do we have to do to change the culture of this country back to where we can become great?
It's easy. It's easy. Know where we land on, know where we lean in on, and that's Heavenly Father. No matter how you worship, we as a people of faith, we'll figure out the right things to do because we treat each other right. We know how to discipline our kids so they will treat each other right. We know how to be honest and sincere, and those things that make our country so unique comes from one source. And that's a God in heaven that blesses us when we do our very best. And we recognize we're going to mess up, which we all do, but that's okay. We'll move forward and learn our lessons and get the blessings later on. So that is where we have to go for just make sure we're fighting for that and not letting them take that away, and we'll be in good shape, for sure.
Well, it's a great way to end this program, Burgess. I was looking forward to this so much, and I got to tell you, I wasn't disappointed. You are a class act in every single respect, and most important thing, I appreciate the morals and values. Did your parents still living?
No, I lost my dad about 10 years ago, and I lost my mom about 30 years ago. But let me just say this, Lou. First of all, I count one of my greatest chapters being playing for you. I really do appreciate that, and what I really appreciate even more so, the time we had, short time, but what you did for so many kids when you left. You knew what your niche was, you knew what your talents were, and you found the best way to make it happen. And so you now have kids across the country, now adults, they call each other brothers because they went through that together. So thank you so much for everything that you did throughout your career.
All I know is this, Burgess. So I'm a lousy coach. I had Burgess Owens and we didn't win the Super Bowl. God bless you. Keep up the good work. And if you ever have a problem, you call me. Then you call 911.
Thanks, my friend. Love you, buddy. Take care.
And he walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule of life that said you're either growing or you're dying.
And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion.